Hi everyone, it's Nancy with Real Mom Real Solutions. For any of you that do not know me, I am a mother of 17 kids. I have 5 married kids, 15 grandkids. My youngest child is 2 years old, so I have 12 kids living at home right now. Oldest is 18, so from 2 to 18. So I have raised children of all ages, all the way up to my oldest is almost 27. She'll be 27 in like a week or two. I recently posted a video on disciplining your children and teaching them. And I had a comment on there that asked about how to handle a tantrum when a child throws a tantrum. So I thought that I would focus on that in this video. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe and share, and let's get started. When dealing with children's tantrums, the very easiest way is to catch them when they are extremely young and you won't even realize that it's a tantrum. One of my daughters, I told her that I was going to do this video, and I mentioned to her that it actually starts really young, even at like 6 to 8 months old. And she said, I don't think my baby has ever thrown a tantrum. What do you mean it starts that young? She says, the only thing that my baby has ever done is like, you know, when I go to take something from her, then she'll kind of no and pull away. And I smiled and said, that's a tantrum. That's where it starts. That's when they are really, really little, that first sign of disobedience, of not wanting to do what they're told to do or what they're asked to do, that's the very first tantrums. And if you catch it when they're that young and you stop it and you teach them obedience when they're that young, it is so much easier. And they don't throw big tantrums where they throw themselves on the floor and kick and scream and you know, whatever that you imagine. When you think of a child throwing a tantrum, you imagine this great big explosion. The key to not having the great big tantrums is to start when they are very, very young. All it takes is a little bit of guidance. When they just show that first little sign of rebellion, of not wanting to do what they're asked to do, then you just take their hand and you tell them, we're going to be obedient. It's time to go eat breakfast, or it's whatever you're trying to get them to do. And usually they'll straighten right up, you know, when they're really at a really young age, and they'll realize, oh, okay, we do what mom says. And if you're consistent with that, it's really, really easy. So for example, you do not ever want to let your child tell you no. And no, I'm not talking about when you say, do you want a drink of water? And they say no. I mean, that's not the same thing. Obviously, they can tell you no when you're asking them a question on something like that. I mean, when you tell your child to do something and they respond to you with no, that is a big no-no. You do not accept that. When that very first happens, if you make it a big deal and you stop them immediately and you say, oh no, you do not talk to mom like that. When mama asks you to do something, you need to be obedient. You need to do what you are asked to do. And then, so whatever it was you asked them to do. So for example, I'm going to use the example of putting your child to bed. First of all, you never ask it as a question. You never say, do you want to go to bed? You know, it's time for bed. Do you want to go get in bed? Don't ever give them the choice, because then they're going to say no. But you asked that question. You gave them the choice. So at that point, they're not being disobedient. They're answering your question. So do not ask it as a question. You tell them, it's time for bed. We're going to go to bed. It's one of the easiest ways, especially when they're really little, to make it exciting and say, it's time for bed. We're going to go brush our teeth and get our pajamas on. Let's go. And you walk over to them and you hold their hand and you take them and you just go do it. And that's when they're really, really young. And of course, if they're like in the middle of playing with a toy or anything like that, you have to be reasonable. And like, especially as they get a little bit older, you give them, you know, 5 minutes to finish up, because it's pretty annoying, even as an adult, when you're in the middle of a project and you're in the middle of doing something and all of a sudden you have to stop right then and you have to, you know, just stop where you're at and go do something else. It's frustrating and it's annoying. And so to avoid that frustration, when you tell them that, you know, it's bedtime, you would say, bedtime is in 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to finish up what you're doing and get it put away. We're going to bed in 5 minutes. And then you can set a timer or whatever. And you give them warning so that they have time to mentally prepare and to finish up the little things that they're in the middle of doing, so that it's not frustrating to them. But when they are super, super little, you know, then, and if they're playing with toys, then you would just go over it's time to get ready for bed. Let's put your toys away. And you would help them put their toys away. It's not, do you want to clean up your toys? Do you want to get ready for bed? Don't ask them the question. Tell them what we're doing and then follow through with it. And you just help them to do it. When they're really young, it's super easy because if you're right there guiding them and you hold their hand through it and you help them to do it, then they do it just fine and they're happy and it's exciting and it's fun to go to bed. Now, when I mentioned that you don't want to give your child the choice to go to bed, you don't want to say, are you ready to go to bed? Are you ready to put your toys away? Things like that. There are times when you can give them a choice. It's time to go to bed. Would you like to sleep with your teddy bear or your doll? And then they'll stop and think about it and, oh, I want to sleep with my teddy bear. And they get all excited about it. And it gives them the feeling of that they actually did have a choice in it, even though their choice, they didn't have a choice in being obedient. They had to go to bed either way, but they did have a choice in how they went to bed, that they could go to bed with their teddy bear or they could go to bed with their doll. But if they start to throw a tantrum and then you try to distract them and say, well, if you go to bed, then you can sleep with your teddy bear, or if you go to bed and bribing them or distracting them, like turning their attention to something else to calm them down, it does not help them to be obedient. It just gets them sidetracked and then they might calm down at the moment, but that doesn't mean that the next time it's time for bed, that they're going to go to bed. They're going to do the exact same thing. I've seen a lot of parents do it, where to calm their child down, they'll sit there and talk to them for a long time and kind of distract them and get them to where they kind of don't even remember why they're crying. And then they're like, okay, I'm okay. I'm good. But it didn't fix the problem. Once you have given the instruction, you have to make sure that they do that instruction simply because they know that it's the right thing to do, that they're obedient, not because they're distracted with something else. Now, I have been giving the example of telling your child it's time to go to bed. The same thing is going to apply no matter the situation. So if your child throws a tantrum every time you go to the store and they don't get what they want, or every time it's time to go eat dinner and they don't want to go eat dinner, or they want something different for dinner, either way, no matter what the situation is, the reasoning behind it is the same. So now you look at it and you say, okay, I missed those younger years. I missed that opportunity. My child is older now. They throw tantrums. What do I do and how do I fix it? So I have a little story to go along with this. So one of my kids was home visiting me, and she had two kids, a 5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old, almost 4-year-old. Her child would not eat anything except pizza rolls. She had brought pizza rolls for her oldest daughter, and everyone else had a regular meal, and then she got, I think, chicken nuggets or something like that for her son, and they ate different food than the rest of the family. When it was time to eat, then, oh, I'm not hungry yet, and they would run off and play, and then later, after the meal was cleaned up and everyone was done, then they would come in and, oh, I'm hungry now, and so then they would get the food out. She would get the food out for them and feed them, and I watched her, and I cringed, and I just thought, oh, what are you doing? You're getting yourself in really deep. I just watched for a couple of days, and I just let her do what the way that she wanted to do. It was her children. After a couple of days of it, I mentioned to her that her child would eat those pizza rolls every single meal and nothing else. So she was living off of the pre-frozen pizza rolls that you just warm up in the microwave. Anyway, and I just thought, that child is not going to get the nutrients that she needs. Like, this is bad. This is not a good thing. So after a couple of days of watching her and seeing how she was dealing with her and everything, then the next one of the meals, then I told her, I think you should let her eat the same food as everyone else, and don't give her her own menu, you know. Anyways, and she said, oh, she won't eat it, Mom. She won't eat it. So she'll just eat nothing then. And I said, just try it. And so she did. She got her dish and she wouldn't eat it. I don't want that food. I don't, you know, and she started to throw a tantrum. And so I said, do you mind if I take over? And she said, please do, Mom. Like, I am stuck. I don't know what to do. Like I said, she was 5 years old. So she was a lot older. And it wasn't going to be as simple as, you need to do what Grandma says. And she was old enough to where I couldn't even tell her, you have to sit here until your food is gone, because she would just get up and walk away. She was old enough. She was determined enough. She was so stubborn. And so I sat next to her, and I told her, it's time to eat lunch. This is what we're eating, and you cannot go play until your food is gone. And she was screaming and hollering, and I want to go play. I don't want this. I don't want this. And she just would get up. She would get up out of her chair and go to leave. And so I realized, okay, she's too old for this. So I sat down on her chair and I put her on my lap, and I told her, you're not going to go play until you eat your food. It is mealtime. It's time to eat. And I know a lot of you are going to think that, oh, this is so mean. If the child's not hungry, then they're not hungry. If they eat when it's mealtime every single time, they will be hungry. And then when mealtime is over, then they won't be hungry. Anyway, it's simple. Like, if you sit there and let every one of your kids choose when they're going to eat and choose what they eat, do you know what that does to you? I mean, I can't even imagine having as many kids as I do and trying to feed every single kid a different menu, a different thing, because they won't eat what I make. And they are not hungry right now. They're hungry in 15 minutes. But this kid was hungry in a half hour, and this kid was hungry an hour ago. And you would constantly be feeding kids and taking care of kids and making meals, and like, that's not how it works. It's when it's mealtime, it's mealtime. We're eating what we're eating. I mean, you can do it however you want in your family, but it's just not the way it works in my family. So when she did this, then I told her, okay, you're going to sit here. It is time to eat. This is what we are eating. You are going to sit here until your food is gone. You can take as long as you want. I'm not going to force feed you. I'm not, you can take as long as you want, but you cannot go play until your food is gone. And she did not like that. She tried getting off my lap. She tried, going away and everything. And I just held her. I didn't hold her super, super tight. I just held her to where she couldn't leave my lap. And I just held her there, and she kicked and screamed and kicked and screamed and hollered. And her mom was sitting across the table. Her mom started crying. And I just told her, don't worry about it. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. I just held that child for a while. She kicked and screamed like she was old enough that she was not going to give in easily. She kicked and screamed for, probably 10, 15 minutes. And I just sat there and held her. And it was actually kind of tough to hold her that anyway. And I, every once in a while, I would just calmly say, as soon as you're done eating, you can get down and you can go play. But you're going to stay here until you're done eating. And then she would continue to kick and scream and kick and scream. And after a couple minutes, I would repeat it. You can get down and go play as soon as you're finished eating. But right now it's time to eat. And after, like I said, 10 to 15 minutes, she finally calmed down. She stopped kicking and screaming. So I loosened my hands, and she just sat there. And then I asked her, are you ready to eat your food? And she took one bite, and she had completely calmed down. And then her mom came in and was watching, and she was amazed. And she was like, oh my goodness, she's actually eating something other than pizza rolls, and she's eating when we are telling her to eat. So then I took her off my lap and I set her down, and I sat next to her. And I told her, oh, that's such a good job. I appreciate you eating. You're gonna grow up to be so strong. And I encouraged her, and I told her that I was very proud of her. And then she sat there and she ate her entire dish. And then I told her, good job. You can get down and you can go play now. And she got down, and first thing, she walked up to me and she gave me a big hug. And I told her I was so proud of her and I appreciated her being such a good girl and everything. And then she walked off and played. And she was totally fine. She was not traumatized by that. But she realized that, okay, when grandma says it's time to eat, I'm going to eat. And she did so much better after that. The next meal, I let my daughter take over. So then my daughter went home, and she told me that she was going to really focus on this and everything. And every once in a while she would call me and she would say, oh, my little girl ate lasagna today. She didn't fuss at all. She actually liked it, and she ate it all gone. And then a few days later, oh, she ate this, and oh, she ate that. And she was eating everything. And now she says she's like a totally different kid, and she'll eat her food, and she tries all these different things, and she's no longer stuck on pizza rolls. But so that's kind of an example of how you can correct it once it gets that bad. But the goal is to not ever let it get to that point. It's super, super easy when they're really young to just simply just with your voice and your guidance and kindness, just lead them in the right way after they have made those habits and they've gotten so stubborn, and they're not going to give in because they know that you will give in, and they will test you as long as they can to see how long it takes before you give in. So once you give in, if you say, I can't do it anymore, whatever, just go ahead and eat it, you've lost everything. And now, however long you waited, you're going to have to wait twice that long next time. So you cannot give in. Once you're ready to fix the problem, you've got to stick to it no matter how long it takes. And once they realize Mom's serious, they won't fight you. They'll realize, oh yeah, it's better just to eat and get down and go play. It's not worth the fight. And they will be obedient. And they won't throw big tantrums. And when you start it at home, if your child is throwing tantrums in public, they're definitely throwing them at home as well. You're just not noticing them as much, or don't really care because no one's there to see it. But they're for sure happening. So if you focus on the ones at home, then the other ones will get easier. And in fact, when a child throws a tantrum in public, the best thing to do is to simply take them home immediately. Just say that this is not acceptable, and you go home and you deal with it at home, and you let them know that that's not okay. And that's one thing. If they throw tantrums when you go to the store, then you need to purposefully go to the store knowing that you are not going to be able to buy anything, that you're going to go there, and as soon as they start throwing a tantrum, you turn right around and you come back home and you deal with it, and you tell them that is not acceptable. That is not the way we act. You are not going to go with me to the store if that's the way you're going to act. So after we went through all of that and her little girl finally ate her food and everything, she looked at her 3-year-old and she thought, I got to do this again. With him, it was a lot easier. He was younger and he wasn't quite so set or so stubborn as the older one. And so I didn't have to sit there and hold him. We just simply told him, you can't get down until you eat your food. It's time to eat dinner. When you're done with your food, you can go play. And he sat there for a while, wouldn't eat, and he just sat there. But he didn't try to get down, and he didn't throw himself on the floor or anything like that. And after a while, he finally got bored, and he decided to eat. And as soon as he started eating, I praised him and told him, good job. You're such a big boy. You're going to get so strong eating all that food. And with every single bite, then, wow, that's so good. I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad you're eating your food all gone. And he ate his food right up, and it was much easier with him. So my point is, the longer you wait, the harder it is going to be. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't think they're going to grow out of it. That is the biggest mistake that a parent can make, is when they say, oh, it's just the terrible 2s, or it's just the terrible 5s, or the terrible 6s, or whatever it might be. Every year is terrible, apparently. It's not, though. Every year is amazing. As long as you teach them right, they will not grow out of it. It changes and morphs into something more and something different, but they will not grow out of it. So you have to fix it. You have to get a hold of it when they are young, and as soon as you can. And you will find that you may have an easy kid, and then you'll get one that has a personality that really conflicts with yours or whatever, that they have more of a rebellious personality, and it will challenge you. But every kid can be obedient. So I hope that I have answered your questions on tantrums. If there's anything specific that you wish I would cover in more depth or anything, or if there's any other topics that you would like for me to cover, then please comment below. And thank you for watching.